For our first story, we have my friend, male 39, wants me, female 45, to save him from being homeless, and I'm ducking his link. Friend, male 39, wants me, female 45, to save him from being homeless, and I'm ducking his calls. His girlfriend kicked him out of the home they share. He's lived there 10 years, she's lived there 5. They put her name on the lease years ago. After a DV incident, she had a no-contact order placed on him, which she rescinded. After finding out that he's been cheating on her for a while, she took back her consent to having any contact with him, and so by law he's not allowed back at their house, and because of the DV, no contact order, she had his name taken off the lease. So he has no income, no savings, and no idea where to go or what to do. One of my housemates doesn't want him to stay with us because he makes her uncomfortable. Another housemate doesn't like how he disregards boundaries around COVID safety. I'm feeling pretty irritated at the guy after watching him mistreat his girlfriend for a long time. And we really don't have room for another person at my place right now. I really need a script for telling him no. He's been blowing up my phone and I don't even want to talk to him right now. But even though I'm disgusted with his treatment of his girlfriend, we have been friends for a long time and I feel really cold-hearted not helping him out when he's so desperate. I know he's scared of ending up on the streets. Is there a different way I should be looking at this? Can anyone give advice about or a good script to use for turning him down? Edit to add. Thank you so much to everyone who replied to this. I really appreciate it, and getting this validation helped solidify my resolve. I understand that dude's circumstances are the result of choices he's made. I know I can be easily manipulated with guilt and have to be on high alert guarding against it. So far I've just been refusing to answer or read or reply to his texts. Knowing that I can be vulnerable to manipulation, it helps to have a few ideas of what to say if he's ever able to force the conversation. And, yeah, I don't really consider him a friend anymore since I'm not interested in investing time and energy into someone who treats other people this way. I've only learned who he really is recently, and it's a lot to process. Thanks again for taking the time to read and reply to this. That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "The more important question here is why are you even friends with this person at all? There was a DV incident with his GF. He then cheated on that GF. He makes one of your housemates uncomfortable. He ignores basic health precautions. And now, as if all of that isn't enough, he is harassing you for somewhere to stay. No is a complete sentence. Tell him no, then block his number if he keeps calling." Our second commenter says, "Greater than after a DV incident she had a no-contact order placed on him. That should have been the end of the friendship right there. Honestly, you're just irritated by the fact he's a violent pile of trash? And you've actually talked to your roommates about the possibility of housing this creep, to the point where they have to tell you fuck no? Lady, you need to grow a spine yesterday and to learn to show solidarity with people who are being abused over keeping abusers around just because you've known them a long time. Block and move on, and apologize to your housemates for even considering doing that to them." Our third commenter says, "You know you don't have to be friends with people who apparently beat their girlfriends bad enough to get a no-contact order placed against them." For our second story, we have my 18 female, pregnant sister, 26 female, thinks I was insensitive after I didn't accommodate her chair preferences. Can I get advice, please? Throw away because I don't want this linked back to my main. It was my grandma's birthday last Sunday and my parents hosted it at our house since it's the biggest and can accommodate all of our extended. I have 2 older siblings, my sister, 26, and my brother, 29, but they're both out of the house now, both of them married. My brother has a little boy who is 2 and my sister is 7 months pregnant. Dad and I got up early at like 5 a.m. to help Mom with all the setting up and the food prep because there was going to be around 20 people coming over plus kids. We removed the fancy dining room chairs and placed them up in my bedroom because Mom was worried about the kids getting stuff on them. Happened before and was a MF to clean. And we replaced them with the regular chairs we have for events like this one, but we did leave out 2 of the fancy ones downstairs for my grandpa and grandma since they're both elderly and they would be more comfortable for them. No one batted an eye at this when they came over, but my sister had a frown on her face but didn't comment. By the way, it wasn't the first time the setup was like this and no one has a problem with it. Anyway, by the time my parents and I sat down to eat with everybody at 2 p.m., we were dead on our feet and I just wanted a nap. After the lunch and clearing up the tables, everyone was scattered around the house. A lot of them were watching the kids outside and I was helping my grandma to the bathroom. When we came back, my sister was sitting in grandma's chair and she saw us. She got up with a huff and commented that we should have kept all the fancy chairs downstairs. I told her why we didn't, but she just rolled her eyes. After a bit I was helping my mom bring out dessert and my sister was sitting on a regular chair and she sighed loudly and asked me to go upstairs and get her one of the fancy ones. I just looked at her and ignored her because by that point I had a headache, I was bone tired and was ready for the whole day to be over. She got up and followed me and told me again, and I told her again that it was mom's decision, take it up with her. She didn't want to. My brother, who was also helping at that point, also told her to drop it because he could see my annoyance. She did not like that and told him to stay out of it. After the cake was cut and pieces were making rounds, I sat down to eat my piece only to have her take it away and ask me again, holding it hostage as if I were a kid. I suppressed the urge to smash it in her face and told her that they're in my room. Have her husband go get her one and to leave me the fuck alone. If it gets dirtied by the kids, then it's on her to explain to mom. She perked up at that but asked me to go get it since he was eating cake. I was done. I got up, kissed my grandma and grandpa on their cheeks, excused myself from everyone and went up to my room and locked my door. My bill tried going up after like 15 minutes to get the chair, but I turned a deaf ear to his knocking. The next day I got a text asking why I tattled to mom when all she wanted was to be comfortable and I was being insensitive at our grandma's b-day. Funny thing is that I didn't tell mom because she had enough on her plate. It was my brother, and my mom had apparently had a talk with her because of it. Even though it happened days ago, I'm still annoyed, but I also feel a little guilty and think that I overreacted a bit. That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Love to you for helping grandma to the bathroom. Being pregnant is uncomfortable, but if the chair she was sitting on was so uncomfortable, a quiet word with mom about getting a different chair was what she should have done." Our second commenter says, "Why did she not ask her husband to get the chair from the start? Why was that responsibility placed with you instead of him? I would fill your sister in that her tantrum was witnessed by many and you weren't the one who tattled to your mother. You didn't overreact. Her behavior was entitled and rude." Our third commenter says, "Tripping about a chair? I wouldn't worry too much about it." For our last story, we have, "My boyfriend 29 male makes double my income, and resents me 31 female for link." Thank you for the thoughtful commentary, as I haven't been able to have the courage to discuss this in depth with any of my friends. It's helpful to feel like I have some people in my corner, even though you are strangers, as I have obviously not been feeling like he is in my corner on this. From the input below, I have deduced that I will be obtaining a small personal loan to pay him for my outstanding Venmo charges, and put a deposit on a new apartment for myself. I have repeatedly thought over the last few weeks, I can't do this anymore. Thank you for confirming that I shouldn't be doing this anymore, and I am not the problem. My boyfriend, 29 male, makes over double my 31 female income, and it's recently come to my attention that he resents me for my lower income and debt I attained early in my career. A bit of background: I am a journalist, and he is in a tech field. Obviously very different outlooks financially. I used to be on air for a living, but have switched to a marketing-focused role in a major city. I now make well over the living wage, however have been focused on paying off a rather large amount of debt I attained while working in small markets for 5 years, making less than a fast food worker for the majority of the time. I don't come from money, and had unexpected medical car issues, which compounded. I have a time frame of less than 2 years to pay off all of my debt, August 2026, and have stuck to this plan easily for the past year, and plan to escalate it pending salary raises, new opportunities. All that aside, we recently got into an argument where he basically said I hold him back due to my financial situation. He resents me for not being able to do all the things he wants to do, multiple ski trips a year, luxury vacations, etc., due to me being focused on getting out of debt. When he learned about my debt initially, about 5 months into our relationship, as I didn't feel it was appropriate to discuss finances in depth earlier, he basically acted like I was cheating on him and lied to him. I was of the opinion I wanted to make sure this was a serious relationship before I unload all of my personal finance details, which I thought was completely reasonable given the time frame. We are now coming up on our 2-year anniversary, so it wasn't like I sprung this on him before an engagement. The root of 80% of our arguments are linked to finances, and it has me feeling hopeless. Despite me working my ass off, I work at my gym 4:30 a.m. to 8 a.m., go to my corporate job 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and do Rover, TikTok for more side income. It's obvious how much it impacts him and how much he looks down on my debt situation. I am also saddled with 80% of the cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping to make up for the fact he pays 60% of our rent. Mind you, he works remote, and works about 2 to 4 hours a day max. Most of the time he is playing video games when I come home, whereas I am exhausted, and still expected to cook dinner. I've been of the mindset that when I pay it off, it will get better and be a more equal partnership. But that is a 2-year time frame. Right now, it feels very tit for tat, and like he is in a comfortable state with this norm. When we discuss the next steps of our relationship, it also ends in arguments, obviously hinging on the fact that I am still in debt, and he doesn't seem to want to propose while that is the case. I understand this, but I wouldn't want a quick wedding, and have the full intention of paying everything off before we would get married. I'm trying to have patience here. But does resolving financial issues like this really salvage relationships? Aside from what is listed here, he is my best friend and a great partner. He does help when I am really struggling. But at this point, I am struggling for assurance that once we are on equal footing, things will change. I am currently looking for a new role as my company just did layoffs. I was saved, but I am not optimistic that more won't come, and from looking at it, I am qualified for jobs with significant salary bumps. I am confident I will pay this off much sooner. But right now it's really difficult for me to see if this is just money, or a character flaw in generally. I feel very little empathy from him in this situation, as whenever I brought up why I got into debt, his response, well, that's why I am in a field where I would never have that problem. Leaving would not be easy right now, but I have been thinking about setting an ultimatum. Any advice or words of affirmation are appreciated. That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, aside from what is listed here, he is my best friend, and a great partner. See also, aside from being utterly bald, he has a great head of hair. Or, aside from having no hands, he's great with his hands. You can't just sweep under the rug the fact that what he's doing fundamentally makes him an awful partner and friend. And if you do sweep this under the rug, it will fester there, which is why reconciling financial situations doesn't, to answer your question, salvage relationships. Our second commenter says, I don't understand how you can say he is a great partner or a best friend. A great partner who has a ridiculous amount of free time would be happy to pick up the slack in terms of chores while you work. Nothing you said here sounds supportive. The most charitable thing is that he's paying slightly more than you are in rent. This attitude won't change even after you clear your debt, or you are making more money. Probably if you ended up making more than him, he would complain about being emasculated, and if you make less, he will always use that as an excuse for why you need to be his maid. Our third commenter says, greater than aside from what is listed here, he is my best friend and a great partner. Apart from that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? A best friend and partner would not make you feel like this when you're doing all you can short of changing careers, which is no quick and easy or guaranteed path to riches, either. If he wants to jet set on a regular basis, he can figure out how to do it on a budget, or prioritize and save up for the rest, or pick up his own side hustle instead of playing video games. He doesn't get to be mad at you because you can't play sugar mommy. And if that's really what he's looking for, he needs to break up and find that instead of making you feel like crap because you're only able to cover the expenses you're responsible for while whittling down your debt. That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.